So I've been asked many times, Dusan, do you regret moving to Croatia? Now, if you're new to this channel, I would love it if you subscribe, hit the like button, because this is going to help my content get out there and give me more motivation and drive to create more content for you all. Now, the reason I made this video is because I've been asked a few times by some people that potentially have some idea of moving to Croatia or moving back to Croatia and are wondering whether I regret my choices from moving from UK, where I've lived my whole life, to now living in Croatia. Now, I can only tell you about the experience that I've been here so far. So I bought my house in February 2022, so I'm going to count it from me living at that point here. Now, obviously, if you've been following my channel for a while, you will have seen that actually I did have quite a lot of troubles when dealing with bureaucracy here in Croatia, getting anything sorted here in Croatia, such as my electric, such as my water, such as other things. Don't get me wrong, those were all nightmares, and I aired my frustration out to you all, but that was part of the journey, and the part of the journey was to be transparent with you guys. But what I do believe is that nothing that comes easy is potentially worth it, and the things that are hard become worth it. So in no way was Croatia easy to start with, because a lot of the admin, a lot of the sorting out stuff was very difficult for me. Past all that hard stuff that I was dealing with and all the intenseness has now brought me to this point now where I can fully enjoy where I'm living. Obviously, the golden question here, do I ever look back at England and think, maybe I would go back, maybe I regret my choice? The answer is absolutely not. So I do not regret my decision whatsoever. I feel that I've moved here for the greater good of myself and for my family. I believe the future here is hopefully bright from what I can see. Things are back in time, but I do prefer that way of life. I do prefer more of a simple life, I guess. I feel like all the westernized societies now, such as England, Canada, America, I feel like the way that they go in is not in the direction that I really want to be pushing, in all honesty. And I'd rather be watching them from a distance and seeing how things go. But to me, when I think about UK, I lived in the UK obviously all my life. UK was a great place to live. I don't feel it's like it's a great place to live anymore. I feel like in the last 10 to 15 years, things have changed dramatically, and it's no longer a country that I respect too much, because it had a culture, but everything seems to be getting diluted. It just seems to be, in my eyes, a bit of a mass prison, in all honesty. Everyone just on the hamster wheel of life without any kind of life whatsoever. When I ask someone, well, look at UK now, do you think it's on an uptrend or a downtrend? Meaning, like, if you saw a graph that was going either up or down, such as stocks and stuff like that, would you say that UK right now is in an uptrend? And they say, well, probably not, you know. And I say, okay, well, do you think Croatia is in an uptrend or a downtrend? Now, some people say, well, maybe it's consolidating, maybe it's, you know, just going up and down minutely, not really going up and not really going down. And others say, well, yeah, it's going up. And I do feel like it is going up. I feel that there is more kind of wealthier, intelligent people that are moving back to Croatia. I will touch on this in another episode. It is becoming a great place to live, and people are kind of seeing that. People are getting kind of scared of their own countries that they live in, and they kind of want more of a safe haven to bring their children up properly without having to worry about them getting forced gender changes in school at 6 years old, for instance. There's many other things I would want to touch on, but these kind of things, they would scare me too, and they do scare me. And I feel like Croatia is sort of behind, and they won't be pushing that kind of stuff. Obviously, if they do, then I've got to take action in some kind of way, because I don't want my children to be kind of brainwashed into one thing or another. I want to raise them the way that I want to raise them. And I don't expect that any kind of children that age should be kind of even thinking about those things. Sex shouldn't even be taught at that age, never mind changing your gender or trying to identify as a cat, for instance. You know, those kind of things should not even be talked about at that age at school at all. If those things kind of moved here, I would definitely look at private tuition or homeschooling as such. I think that the school system in itself is broken, but I won't go too much into that. I will list off some negatives and some positives about living here. The biggest negative is getting anything sorted, like you've seen in my videos, like I've suggested, whenever you want to get something sorted, it's kind of, you need this one paper, or I'm sorry, I'm not here to help you, try this other person. You go to the other person and they say, well, that other person is the right person for you, and you kind of get ping pong from one person to another, and you're like, what's going on here? I needed to sort something out yesterday, and it was simply at the bank, and I tried to open up a bank account for my wife. They basically said, oh yeah, you need a passport in order to open it. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Is there anything else that you need me to bring for me to open a bank account for my wife? They said no. Okay, so she came back with a passport, and we asked to open up the bank. And then they said, well, we need we need proof that you're married and that you bought the house together and stuff like that. And it's like, why have you told me this now? And this is just the same thing in every other place, They try and palm you off with, you need this extra thing, or when you come with that extra thing, you need something else. And it's at that point where I need to literally prepare myself for the full day. So if I'm going to sort something out, I literally put my serious face on, and I physically prepare my body for standing my ground and getting the thing sorted there and then. And that's kind of usually working, because the polite way of doing anything in England, for instance, if you want to get anything sorted, you have to be polite, kind of thing, If you get aggressive, you kind of get nowhere. Here, it's kind of like the opposite. If you're polite, you get stomped on, you get walked on. And if you're aggressive, they tend to try and sort things out. So I never really want to go down the aggressive path, but I mean, if I need to show that little bit of aggression for them to sort of get things moving forward, I will. So yeah, in terms of that, that's one of the downfalls. Lots of things aren't obvious, such as in westernized countries, you have a list of things that you can search on the internet and everything's easy to sort out. Here it's a bit of a wild west, and it's quite tough. But if you can move past that, I think that's probably one of the only negatives I can kind of list off, Otherwise, I'm really happy with everything. I'm happy with the neighborhood around me. I'm happy with my neighbors. Very helpful, very caring. People in the UK, if you come back home, they're running inside their house so they don't say hi, neighbors are. And you don't really have that connection, whilst here, they'll bake something, they'll bring it over here. If they pick some figs from the trees, they'll come and deliver some here as well. They're always bringing stuff here, and we're bringing stuff over there. And if I need anything, they'll provide me with that. So the neighborhood here is very, very good. I also feel very safe with my kids around. There's people that go to the bakery, for instance. They leave their car running, go in the bakery and get something, and then come back to their car. Over in England, if you left your car running outside while you went somewhere, chances are probably someone would hop into the car and drive off. You don't feel safe. You need to lock your house all the time. You don't feel safe just leaving your door open. And here, you can sleep pretty calmly with all your doors open, not necessarily open, but unlocked. And you can feel safe, So it gives you that safety feeling. I feel like it's a good place to raise your kids. The nature is obviously amazing here. Very much enjoy that. Peaceful life, you've got nature around you, you've got walks, you've got national parks, you've got the sea, you've got everything around you that you need. I live about 25 minutes from the city, so for me, that's a short drive in order to get anything from the city I need, whereas I can then move to the village and just be totally in peace, which I prefer because I don't like being in the city. This is everything I ever needed, really. And the mindset in the UK is completely opposite when it comes to living in a village. If you live in the village in England, for instance, you're looked at as posh or rich. Here, if you live in the village, you're looked at as a selyak, which is pretty much, a villager, a poor person. I do feel that in the future things will change and more people will be moving inland. Yeah, the food here, you feel like it's real food, It's because of the supply and demand, there's not as much as countries like the UK, for instance. You've got millions of people that live there, so the supply has to meet the demands. You have to do that the quality of produce goes down, and you start ramming hundreds of cows into a small space, or a million chickens into a very small place. The quality of the food is bad. They're sprayed with, they're given antibiotics. They're full of sickness. They don't have range of movement. The quality of meat is bad. The quality of veg, even though most of it's imported from different countries, doesn't seem that good quality. A lot of it's GMO, genetically modified. I love here that you can pick up a lot of like fresh produce, organic produce, things that hasn't been sprayed, for instance. Lots of fresh food. The meat tastes 100 times better. The milk tastes so much better. I feel a lot healthier, and I have a lot of gut problems that have left now that I've moved here. So I feel a lot healthier. So for me, a healthier lifestyle, breathing in fresh air, peace and quiet, cheaper place to live, better people around me. Good communities. There's good communities around here for English-speaking people, for instance. There's lots of people from different countries. You can communicate with them and be in the communities with them. So, you can find people from all around that have different hobbies. For instance, some of the people here I've met are some of the most intelligent people from different countries, such as Canada, America, that have moved here. And I would never get these kind of conversations that stimulate me in the town that I'm from, because people don't find the kind of stuff that I talk about very interesting. They're more about going to the pub, talking about football. For me, it doesn't interest me in the slightest. So it's refreshing. So in every way, shape or form, I enjoy living here. I wouldn't choose to move back. Other than just silly things, all in all, I say you can't really go wrong with living here. Obviously, everyone's core values are different. Everyone has different ways of living. Everyone appreciates different things. Some people like living in the city. Some people like living in towns. Some people like living in villages. So for me to talk about every kind of person, everyone's going to have different experiences. But for someone that likes nature, for someone who wants to potentially live in a village or a city that's not too crowded, for instance, like Zadar is my nearest city. It's a beautiful city. It's got an old town, which is stunning. Out of tourist season, it's not, it's quite quiet. It's nice. There's no real traffic there at any point, really, compared to any kind of town or city in England that I'm used to. It's just, the place is excellent. So I can't grumble at anything. So that brings me to an end on this episode. I don't regret moving at all. If you're thinking of moving to Croatia yourself, then shoot me a message in the comments and I can get back to you on that. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, please like the video if you enjoyed it. And I hope to be providing more content for you soon. So, without a doubt, take care, guys.